I had depression. I had tried medications, I had tried psychiatrists, prayed, cried, but in November of 2021, God just gave me a revelation of his love for me. And all of the fear, all the depression left immediately. So then it would almost set me free then to do what I'm doing. The chronic fatigue left, the depression left.
Good morning and welcome to Mornings with Missy. Today we're going to take a step down Main Street and enter into a quaint new business that's there for about a year and a half. Coffee shop and secondhand thrift shop, retail establishment, all kinds of treasures. And we're going to find out exactly why someone who's not even from Henrietta would choose to open a business on Main Street and what is behind the name of the business. Beth Arbaugh, and today, welcome my guest, LaVola Case. Thank you for joining. You're gonna enlighten us on all of these things, aren't you?
We're gonna tell some stories today.
Okay. Well, speaking of telling stories, before we get started, I want to pause and thank our sponsor, Reba's Buds and Blooms, located on Main Street, as you well know.
Right next door.
Right next door, for our beautiful arrangement. Thank you, Amanda and Robert, for this beautiful arrangement, as always. Stop by and see them for all your floral and gift needs. Okay, LaVola.
Yes.
So, we always do a segment called Cup of the Week. So let's break the ice with that, okay?
All right, so here's my cup. This is just like a normal Corral cup. Nothing special about this cup, like I haven't went anywhere, purchased this cup. What is special about this cup is I'm kind of like you. We discussed our coffee earlier. I'm more of a cream milk with flavoring and then half coffee. Okay. And so this cup is just perfect for that. I know how much coffee, how much milk, how much creamer, and this is my cup. It's just a kind of a small cup for coffee, but
it's perfect.
It's perfect size for me.
Well, thank you for sharing. Now, okay, along the lines, tell us more about you.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll start with I am a PK, a pastor's kid. So I was raised in a pastor's home from the time I was brought home from the hospital from Tulsa, Oklahoma. My father brought me to church and my mother. And I told you a little bit earlier today that this is a special day for me. I didn't really let you know exactly why. I just said, today's a special day. And this is a special day. 60 years ago today, March 21st, I had a little brother who was about 3.5, and he drowned on this day.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 60 years ago today. And I was not yet born, but it was during this time that my father had left a job in Tulsa, and someone said, will you come and start a church in Beggs, Oklahoma? And so that's what my father and my mother did. They started the church in their home. And they had 3 children at the time, 2 boys and a girl, which was my 2 older brothers and my older sister. I was not yet born. But so it was probably within the year, maybe, that my father started this church, and it grew from the home. And a man in Beggs said, I'm going to give you or rent you some property for 99 years. You don't have to pay a thing, and you can build a church on that property. And it's still the church. It's a different church, but it's still on that property. It's by the casino, Duck Creek Casino. You go down that road, there's a little white church with a steeple, and that is the church that my father had started in that area. Yeah, so anyway, it was during that time that they moved there, that they lived in the country, and as boys do, they went out to play one day, and they went to a creek to play. They were not supposed to be there, but as boys do, they do their own thing, and they were out there playing, throwing sticks into the water, watching it go down the river or the creek. And my older brother Mike, his name is Mike, he had thrown in a stick and it didn't quite go into the water. And so my littler brother, who was 3.5, almost 4, went to get that stick and just help it get into the water. And he had boots on that day, and the bank was slippery, and he slipped right into the creek. And by the time that they got help for him, he had drowned and he did not make it. And so this is the anniversary of that, 60 years. And so that was in 1966, March 21st. And then in November of 1967, I was born, about a year later. And so out of that rough beginning, and I've read somewhere, I think that maybe like 85% of couples who lose a child it will end in divorce. It's a really high number.
I didn't know the statistics, but I knew.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
that's
really,
such a stress and a strain on a relationship.
Yeah, and starting a new church, just you think you're in God's will, and you're doing exactly something tragic. Yeah. Yes. And so it's the same question, why does bad things happen to good people? And so I'm sure that my parents went through that a little bit of just, I thought we were right where we're supposed to be. And my mother did say that she prayed, God, just help me not to become bitter. Because I've seen a lot of people when tragedies happen, not to be bitter with you or upset with you. And, she was one of the most loving, kind, considerate people that I know. And so saying all of that, I do feel like I don't understand why that happened and why Mitchell was taken from us so early. And that is the name of my older son, Mitchell. We talked a little bit earlier, and that's when I told you I have something special. So I did name my oldest child after my little brother, Mitchell. And then I have a daughter whose name is Miranda. She was born about 7 years after Mitchell. And then, as my husband's boss said, God did exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ask or think, and He gave us twins.
Yeah.
And that's Reagan and Chandra. So that's my 4 kids, and now I have 6 grandkids.
And the girls, the young girls, they're identical twins?
Yes. They're beautiful young ladies.
Yeah. So did y'all do all of the identical twin, have they done those twin swaps or tried to fool people?
I'm sure they have, but I don't know any stories just to come and tell you. I know that
they might have a few.
They probably do, but I don't know them. I do know that my baby twin, Chandra, she was a teacher in Broken Arrow for 1st grade, and she would have visitors come in, and Reagan was one of those visitors, and the children were definitely just like, this is wild.
Mesmerized. Yeah. And I'm sure they're beautiful, just like you are.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
So, okay, you guys live outside of Henrietta. I mean, not too far. Yeah. But why did you choose Henrietta to open a business? I mean, I really want to know.
Hear this story. All ladies have stories, and I have my own too. So I'm going to take you back a little bit to, like I said, I was a pastor's kid, and I ended up growing up in Spiro, Oklahoma, which is about 18 miles from Fort Smith, Arkansas. And I graduated from there. And, in everyone's life, there comes this point in time where you have to decide what I'm going to do next, because you've been in your parents' home, and I had such a loving and caring parents' home. It was a wonderful experience. Sometimes pastors' kids, you hear that they're angry or upset. Not me. Like, I had the perfect mom and dad, I thought, and still do, except my mom passed in 2017. My dad is still alive, still gardening in Spiro, Oklahoma. But anyway, so I was deciding where to go to college. And coming from a pastor's home, it's not like we had a lot of finances, so I knew I needed to get a scholarship. And there was a school in Wilburton who was going to give me a scholarship. And that's where I was headed. I already went to the school, getting the financial aid ready and everything. And then I heard that my cousin and my best friend were going to Mogi Tech. And I thought, well, that would be super cool and fun to go to college now with one of my favorite cousins and my friend. And I chose Mogi Tech. And so while I was attending school there, I have another aunt and uncle that were pastors in Sand Springs. And I would go and visit them on the weekends when I didn't drive to Spiro and go to church with them. And that's where I met my husband. He was from Sand Springs, and we lived there for 20 years.
Does he get a shout out? Does he have a name?
Clint Case. Clint Case, yeah. So Clint and I, we lived in Sand Springs for 20 years, went to church there. And there was a day that I had went to Mogi Tech and had got an accounting degree. And I had started working at this little electric company and doing the accounting and the books and been a secretary. And after my son was born, one day I was just like looking at him, and I thought, and I really felt like it was God, like, your biggest job right now would be to stay home and take care of him. And so I made that choice to stay home with Mitchell. At the time, it was just Mitchell. And later it was the 4 children, so I was a stay-at-home mom. And I stayed home with them, and there'd be times I'd get like a side hustle job of working like at a card store or putting out cards. It was seasonal, but it kind of gave me something to do outside of the home. But during that time, I became very tired and was very depressed. Like, you know, then I got the diagnosis of chronic fatigue with depression. And so that was just a very hard time in my life. And it was during that time when I was in bed, thinking I was going to go to sleep, forget all of my troubles and all of my trials, that before I fell asleep, I just had a vision of this place. And I saw this place, and just in a moment's time, I knew that I owned this place. I knew it was a place where women were coming to be encouraged and to just do crafts together. I knew it was a bookstore, and it kind of reminded me of Mardell's, which I know you told me you had worked there when you were younger. So I was just like, this had never happened to me. So I was like, God, if this is you, what would be the name of this place?
Wow, we were waiting to get to that. Beth Araba.
Beth Araba. Yeah, so those words, when I said that, when I prayed that, Lord, what would be the name of this place? Those words immediately came into my mind, Beth Araba.
So, I mean, I know it's Hebrew, and it means house of the desert.
I had to learn that myself. I got out my little computer, typed it into my, it's like this commentary that tells you Hebrew words and their meanings, and like where that
originated.
Yeah, so it's part of the promised land that the children of Israel were slaves in Israel, and God took them to this promised land, and that was one of the towns that is just kind of mentioned. It doesn't say nothing about the town, but Beth Araba. And so when I looked it up, it means house of the desert. And I knew it was supposed to be an oasis for women. I knew that. And so what I like to say is it's a place where every woman is welcome and no woman is alone. And
that
I know,
powerful.
Men are welcome to come, and I serve them coffee every time they come through those doors. And, you know, pastors will come in looking for commentaries, and, you know, it's just a wonderful place. But my heart definitely is to encourage women, because like you and I talked earlier, we all have our own stories, our struggles, our desert places.
Absolutely.
And so it's wonderful to know that other people have went through what we're going through.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I met you in the bookstore.
Yes.
Not too very long after you had opened, I
Yeah, it's
suppose.
probably a month or 2 months after we opened.
Because, you know, I'm locked up in the office at the dealership most 6 days a week almost, and don't get out just a whole lot. But that particular day had wandered out, and that's actually the first time that I met Larry and Shell with the newspaper.
They were there that day.
They were there that day. So I was like, who are those two old guys?
Yeah, you heard them talking about marketing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, lots of common ground here I'm finding in all of this. So you're currently, tell me about the store. Let's talk about that. What's your offer in there? I mean, you always have said from the first day I walked in, it's like a
used Mardell's.
A used Mardell's. So you all know, the Mardell's Christian bookstore, and it does. It has that vibe. Now, when I worked at Mardell's a long time ago, and I haven't been in one in years, they had a little coffee area.
Yeah.
So you've got that as well.
Yeah, that's kind of like that's going back years, because now Mardell's doesn't have that same setup. But like when they first opened, they had a coffee pot out there, free coffee. People come in, which I don't give free coffee. Let me just say that right up front. It's not free coffee. But they had a coffee pot, and they also had sitting areas. I don't know if when you were, there was tables set out, and people could just sit there, drink their coffee, and read their book.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I saw Beth Araba, was, people coming in, getting a good cup of coffee, reading a book if they wanted to. And also in this vision that the Lord gave me, there was an area in the back. It was a room just for doing crafts. And we don't quite have a craft class going yet, but we do have a group from the Dewar Baptist Church that do a Bible study in there on Friday mornings at 10:30. If anybody wants to join them, they are welcoming the community.
I love that. I love that so much. So I know you offer some sweet treats from time to time.
Yes.
Do you have plans on, doing a little bit more
For
in the
sure.
future?
So right now, I try to do something easy. So we have no bakes, which I'm going to give a shout out to Robert at Bare Bottom Antiques.
Okay.
He is such a nice gentleman.
He is.
And he will tell people, you ought to go over there. They have the best no bakes. Now, whether they're the best, I'm not going to compare my baking with others, but he's just kind enough to say that.
He is. He's
and
so
so
sweet.
we have no bakes. And then we also have sugar cookies usually, and that is where Reagan, my daughter, kind of comes in. Whenever my mother passed away, she wanted to do something in honor of her. And my mother baked sugar cookies at Christmas time. And so Reagan was also going on a missions trip. And so she said, I'm going to make these cookies to help fund the trip.
Mm-hmm.
And after she did that, it's not my mom's recipe, let me say that. It's, maybe better, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? My mom's were delicious, but Reagan, it is not my mom's recipe, let me just say that. It's Reagan's own, I don't know how she came up with it, but it is definitely a delicious cookie. She has been told by someone, if you ever decide to start your own business, I want to invest in it. And so, Reagan one day wants her own coffee shop and bake store also. So one of these days she will be coming to work full-time at Beth Arba, and she's just going to put such a great, just extra, I don't even know how to say it right now, but she was actually a barista when she was in college, when she was going to college. So she has kind of helped me come up with the recipes already. If it wasn't for Reagan, Beth Arba wouldn't be what Beth Arba is.
So it'll really step up the game.
Exactly. Yeah, she's a hustler. She's a go-getter. She already has ideas for how she wants to expand and some new things that she wants to do.
That has to be a mom's dream come true.
Oh man,
working
it's gonna
with
be fun.
With her daughter. I know I certainly would love that. Mine's too far away to get her to come on and help me out, but we would have a big time. We would have a big time together.
Yeah.
So in regards to that, you're looking at bringing in someone to work alongside with you. Let's dive into the business aspect of it just a tad bit, because I know that this is a ministry for you.
Yes.
God doesn't put those things on our heart, lightly.
Exactly.
And you followed that calling for sure. You have.
Yeah.
But at the same time, or not to say and at the same time, it is a business, and you do need to. It needs to thrive. So, are there any stresses for you about income being as such to support both of you?
Well, I didn't quite finish the story about why Henrietta, because this kind of goes to that.
Okay.
My husband and I lived in Sand Springs for 20 years, and that's where I wanted to open it up originally, because that was my support group.
Sure.
He has family there, I have family, we have church friends, family, a base.
Yes.
And whenever I had this vision, I told my husband about it. I was like, and I saw this store and I'm all excited. He's like, LaVola, that's not a store, that's a ministry.
Yeah.
He's the one that said that. And I said, well, whatever it is, I believe God is going to bring it about. And so then I began to tell friends and family, and they were excited, and they tried to help me open doors in Sand Springs. And we were going to open it in this little house. And Clint knows a little bit about construction. I shouldn't say a little bit. He knows about construction and then zoning. And the home that we were looking at needed to be zoned commercial. And he went through all the process to do that with the city council in Sand Springs, got the zoning changed, and then just kind of realized this building, we didn't own it, and we were going to have to put in a lot of money and we didn't own it. It was just going to be borrowed. And that is about the time we had moved to Beggs. And so he's like, we have this home that we're going to be building on, and I really would rather spend my money here. And so that door closed in Sand Springs. And then years later, we're probably talking 10, 13, and now we're into let's say May of 2024. And I get a call from one of my friends in Sand Springs. And she's like, there's this building in Sand Springs. It's come open. It's for rent. I think you ought to check it out. So it's exactly what I did. Went down there, checked out the place, thought this is going to be great. Not Main Street in Sand Springs, but it was Broadway. It was close. And so I was ready to sign the contract. Let's do this. And she said, well, just give it overnight and call me tomorrow with your decision. I was like, okay. So when my husband called her the next day, she said, I've changed my mind. Her stepson was also in ministry, and she decided to let him, since it's going to be a ministry, I will let him use the facility.
Yeah.
I was honestly devastated. I had texted 40 people that night. I'm so excited that the Arbors Doors is about to open, and say, just like we thought it was going to be. And so I had to text them all back and say, no, it's not. It's not about to open. And because we had looked in Sand Springs to buy, to rent, it was the market was just really expensive there in Sand Springs. It's so close to Tulsa. And so, they would text me and they would say, if God closed the store, he's got something better. And I was like, I kind of believe that. I do. I trust him for that. He's led me this far. And so it was probably about 3 weeks later, I just got on my phone, like I'd done many times, and put in Google, a place for sale or rent near me. And because I live in Biggs, this little place in Henrietta popped up. I was like, never thought about Henrietta. I mean, I drive through Henrietta going to see my father in Spiro, but knew it was Troy Aikman's hometown. But Henrietta was not on my
radar.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But when I saw the little store that it was for sale, and I went and looked at it, and I was like, oh, this is so cute. It had been a dress store. And it was just really a cute little store. And I was like, this is cute. So I went home and started talking to my friends from Sand Springs. And they were like, man, we was wanting you to be in Sand Springs with us. And so I almost said no, because I was like, that's true. I want it to be in Sand Springs. But as I was praying about it, thinking about it, I really felt I heard the Lord say to me, who gave you this vision, those ladies or me? So, you're kind of trusting them to be your base, and I'm the one that's going to help you with the financial aspect of this. And so just, can you trust me with this move to Henrietta? And I said yes, because he's been faithful to me ever since I accepted him as a child at 7 years of age.
So what is the time span then from when you first had that vision to the time that the doors
opened? 13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, when God shows you something, you expect it to happen immediately. You're just, oh man,
sure,
you're ready to go. But he did allow my kids to just grow up, graduate from school, get out of college. It was kind of a time that they were on their own now, so I wasn't staying home with them. So it was perfect timing for my children. And then in November of 2021, I had shared with you that I had depression. I had tried medications, I had tried psychiatrists, prayed, cried, but in November of 2021, God just gave me a revelation of his love for me. And all of the fear, all the depression left immediately. So then it almost set me free then to do what I'm doing. The chronic fatigue left, the depression left, because there was a time I didn't want to be in public. There was a time in around 2019 where I had a skin cancer, and I thought they were going in just to be a little bitty nick on my face, and it actually cut all the way down.
Wow.
And so when she showed me the mirror, I was shocked that the scar went so far down. And during that time, I was like, I never want to be in public again.
Well, sis, you are. Here we are.
So, God can take those very hard times and turn ashes into beauty.
Yes, he does. Yeah, those are great stories. And one of my favorite verses is the Ephesians 3 that you quoted early on, how he is able to do abundantly more.
Yes.
Exceedingly more
Yes.
than we hope or imagine.
Yeah.
So I've definitely claimed that verse. I think it's Ephesians 3:20 and 21, I think.
Well, I don't know the exact verse, but yeah.
I think that's right.
You probably got it right.
I might be mistaken.
Some of the Bible scholars be testing.
Oh yeah, somebody will correct us, I'm sure.
They'll know.
We'll get that correct in the comments somewhere, I'm
Right.
sure. Okay, so let's see if we covered all of our bases. We talked about the name. Yeah, and pronounce it for us one more time. Beth Arba.
That's probably the southern way. I'm sure in Hebrew they say it differently.
Yes, I've listened to the enunciation on the Google, and I'm not that good.
Right.
All of my accents anyway all come out sounding the same.
Exactly. That's how I pronounce it in my mind.
So, have there been some moments since you've opened the doors that were just those like feel good? Okay, Lord, this is you. This is you, and this is proof that this is where I need to be. Have you had any of those?
There definitely is. And if I step back just a moment, before those times, whenever I had decided to open up the it's a used Christian bookstore with decor, and then the coffee bar area. Someone just came in the store one day before it was open, and they're like, this is going to be so cool to have a coffee shop on Main Street. So I assumed that there was no coffee shops on Main Street at the time. Well, so when the health department comes in to, clear you and tell you that everything's good to go, she said, I just want to let you know that there is another coffee shop coming in on Main Street. And at first you're like, oh, wow, this is a small town.
Yeah.
In Sand Springs, it might be big enough, but Henrietta.
Yeah.
And so I found out that day that there was another coffee shop coming in. And then when I finally opened, I found out that there was actually 4 coffee shops on Main Street, because Becca's Brew moved in, because they had a place a little bit outside, and they moved it to Main Street. And then Trendy's, which is the nail salon, that's the company that kind of grew their base and put in a little coffee shop. Right. And then the Shack, which has delicious food, has a coffee bar. So there's 4 of us on Main Street. But the cool thing is we all have our own little niche. Becca's is a drive-through. They have delicious coffee. Trendy's, you go in there, get beautiful fingernails, and sit there and drink coffee, delicious coffee. The Shack, I've already talked about their delicious food, delicious coffee. And so we all have our little niche in the community. And mine, I hope it's a place where people come in to just relax, read a book, fellowship with their friends. We all have our purpose here. And so, sometimes we can feel like it's competitive because it's all the same thing. But honestly, the businesses in Henrietta have been so welcoming to me, an outsider. Cave's Jewelry lady, they're just 2 doors down. They will tell me, they're sending people in people will tell me, the Cave's Jewelry sisters sent me in here. Yeah. People will tell me Robert from Bare Bottom Antique sent me in here. And so they're not competitive, they're just welcoming. And I appreciate that.
I love to hear those testimonies. That's great.
Yeah.
It's a fun little town for sure.
They're so welcoming.
For sure. And you get what you give, and you definitely have been a giver.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't mean necessarily in those monetary ways. I'm talking about giving of yourself, and that definitely shines through in your personality and anybody that has met you. I myself and my husband Brad, we have a love affair with coffee shops. One of our very first dates was at a downtown coffee shop in my hometown-ish, where I raised my family. He proposed to me in a coffee shop.
Oh, wow, that's super cool.
And we got married in the same coffee shop.
I did not know that story.
Yeah. So we have really, we like to go back there from time to time. It's changed now over the decades since we were married, but it'll always be 9th Street Coffee Shop.
There you go.
Always be the place for us. So,
I love that.
Well, thank you so much, LaVola, for coming in this morning and sharing your story. Please, I'm encouraging you, if you haven't already been, drop in and see her there.
That.
Yeah, and you can always run right next door and get
you some
fresh flowers.
And Caves Jewelry, I'm wearing like the little cross.
Yes.
You know, when I went by Caves Jewelry, when I first was walking the streets to see my friends and community, when you see a jewelry store, you think expensive. But you go in there, they have like this little bracelet that has a cross on it. It's like $10. And they have some jewelry for $5. So Caves Jewelry is a really cute place too.
Quick little gift giving section. Well, she's just made a plug right there for the entire Main Street. So
Yeah, there you go.
come on by. Welcome to Henrietta, everybody. And thank you, LaVola, for coming in today and blessing us with your story.
Thank you, Missy. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
You're so welcome. We'll see you next time.